Good evening, Bahamas. On the broadcast tonight, getting down to business, and among things at the top of the agenda for the new Attorney General is the Baha Mar Deal. Plus, a former Progressive Liberal Party chairman talks about factors that led to the PLP's devastating loss at the polls. And Alfred Says releases his autobiography.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news, the weekend edition, and thanks for joining us. I'm Andrew Knowles. Newly appointed Attorney General Carl Bethel said one of his first things to look at in his post is the new Baha Mar Deal. Details were released to the public earlier this month, but Bethel told our news team there's still much the Bahamian people don't know and that he will have to look at. Kyle Joaquin tells us more.
I think the Bahamian people have a fundamental right to know what was in the sealed documents in the Baha Mar Deal. There's no question of that.
The multi-million-dollar Bahamar resort may now be open, but the Attorney General is making it his mission to see exactly what was in the deal.
Every tax exemption given to any foreign investor means $1 more for every dollar given the foreign investor, $1 more that your maid who living over the hill, your gardener who living in Fox Hill, your mummy who live in Nassau Village, that we all have to pay, from the humblest to those who living in Life Key. We have to pay. Bahamians have to pay. So Bahamians have an absolute right to know, because there can be no secret about how Bahamian tax dollars are spent.
According to the heads of agreement, their previous government had committed to contribute $4 million a year for 8 years for the marketing of Bahamar upon the opening of the resort's casino. The document, signed April 25th, also outlines a number of concessions granted to the new buyer for the resort, including value-added tax exemption until the end of 2019 and a write-off of $10 million in casino debt. While speaking to our news team shortly after receiving his instruments of appointment Friday evening, Bethel was also asked if he plans to take steps to have the Bahamar documents unsealed.
I have not had a chance to see the files. I cannot say that I'm going to do A, B, or C. All I know is that the Bahamian people have a right to know. I will see what needs to be done, and we'll go from there.
Also in keeping with the campaign promise, newly appointed Minister of Finance Peter Turnquist said he will make it his duty to fully account and explain to the Bahamian people where the VAT money is going.
Well, we're going to be doing a thorough review of all of the expenditures, particularly over the last year, because we want to understand for ourselves how do we get to this point. And so we will be doing a thorough review of all of the revenues that have been collected, how that money has been spent, and what programs have been impacted by that.
He was scheduled to receive a briefing on where the country's economy stands yesterday. He said from there, the government would have to look at the budget and see what adjustments need to be made.
From there, we start to work on our longer, medium to long-term strategy as to how we're going to address this current deficit issue that we have, as well as the national debt. As you know, we have a significant national debt that's been growing at an astronomical rate and accelerating. We need to put the brakes on.
For our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Thanks, Kyle. Former Deputy Prime Minister and Member of Parliament-elect for the St. Anne's constituency, Brent Simonet, is calling former Prime Minister Perry Christie's loss at the polls the end of an era. Simonet says Christie would have saved himself a lot of trouble if he had only retired from frontline politics before the 2017 general election. Jasmine Brown has more in this report.
This is the first time in history of the Bahamas that we've retired a sitting Prime Minister.
After a lengthy recount that lasted more than 24 hours, FNM candidate Reese Chipman emerged as the MP-elect for Centerville on Friday morning. Christie had represented the constituency since 1977 and has led the former governing party since 1997. After the recount, Chipman ended up with 1,909 votes and Christie received 1,905 votes.
We have an occasion here with the Prime Minister, a sitting Prime Minister, called the election on his terms when he wanted to, control the boundaries, gerrymandered them the way he wanted to, and was still not able to pull off an election. Under the FNM, and Mr. Ingram called an election, he won his seat. That's the difference. Sir Lyndon won his seat. My father won his seat. This is the last one. This is the first one who went into an election as Prime Minister and lost his seat. Coincidentally, for those people who like numbers, he lost by 4, which is the same number of seats that the PLP have in the current House of Assembly.
Simonet says with the overwhelming majority of Bahamians rejecting the PLP, it's clear the former Prime Minister should have called it quits a long time ago. He says he doesn't feel sorry that Christie will not return to the House of Assembly.
Mr. Christie had his opportunity when he dissolved the House of Assembly, with due respect, to say his final words. He was obviously confident that he was going to win. He will have to do that in a forum other than the House of Assembly, because the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas have retired the PLP and Perry Christie on May 10th.
While Chipman's win surprised many, it did not shock Simonet.
The people have decided whose time it is for the next 5 years.
Chipman joins 34 other MPs who will represent the FNM in Parliament. Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Meantime, former Progressive Liberal Party MP Philip Goliath has been vocal about what he believes to be the contributing factors of the PLP's loss in the 2017 general election, especially crediting former Prime Minister Perry Christie for the overwhelming support shown to the Free National Movement. Goliath says he believes this election loss is reminiscent of the loss in 1997. Giorgio Bain reports.
Former Progressive Liberal Party MP Philip Goliath says while he is surprised by the margin of votes that the PLP lost the 2017 general election by, especially some of the grassroots areas, he said this election is extremely similar to the 1997 general election, and given the mood of the electorate ahead of the election, he predicted that there would be striking similarities.
Well, if you read my column last week, you'll see that I said that we could very well end up with a 1997 type election result. And so I was surprised, quite frankly, by some of the grassroots seats that we lost. I didn't expect us to lose as deeply as we did. I don't think anyone did, but I certainly didn't do so. But I think what last night's victory said was that there was a resounding rejection of the PLP, a resounding rejection of Mr. Christie, a resounding rejection of the PLP cabinet. And so I wasn't surprised. I didn't expect it to be as deep as it was, but I expected us to have some very, very serious challenges.
Goliath added that he is not discouraged by the number of seats won by the PLP, insisting he believes the opposition will be effective. He also believes that this gives Cat Island, Rum Key, and San Salvador MP Philip Brave Davis a chance to prove his leadership capabilities.
I'm not dissuaded or discouraged by that at all, and people think that I'm crazy when I say that, but not at all. 20 years ago, in 1997, we had 35 to 5, because don't forget, mind, we won 6 seats in the general elections. Linden retired from Parliament. There was a by-election in September of 1997, and Mr. Boswell from the FNM won that seat. So we were left with 5 members of Parliament. We are exactly where we were back then. 5 years later, the PLP came back and won the government.
Goliath added that the Bahamian electorate gave the PLP an opportunity it would not have gotten if they had been re-elected, and that is a chance of new leadership to regroup and make better choices.
What this does is that it has given the people of this country have given the PLP the ability to do what the PLP did not do, and that is to help to regenerate, reinvigorate, re-energize, and re-engineer the party. And so I'm very hopeful that that's going to take place, that we'll see a new and improved PLP that would not have taken place had we been re-elected.
Reporting for our News, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Still ahead tonight, one of the Rebel 7 weighs in on the FNM's victory at the polls. That story and more when our news returns.